Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Nancia Leath, and I am the host for Raw Stories. I'm very excited about today because we have two amazing women that's going to prep you up. When I say prep you up, they're going to lift you up in order to help you rise, as well as see what you can do in order to thrive. The second young lady that we're going to have for you is going to encourage you in a way, especially if you are single. She's going to give you some tips on to help you transition from being a single in order to be a married woman. So I'm excited to hear the tips about that. Although I've been married for a long time, but I think this is going to help all our little single ladies up in there. So before we get to that side, let's talk about how we can, if you stagnant or if you're in a depressed state, or when you have those moments, when you having your down moments, Miss Cassandra is going to talk to you about what she does in order to change from a negative mindset to a positive mindset. So let's bring in Miss Cassandra, aka Miss Happy. How are you, Miss Happy?
I'm good. Happy Tuesday. Hi, everybody. How women who thrive sisters.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So tell us a little about yourself, Miss Happy.
Okay, so I am a mom of 5. I have a blended family. My husband has 18 years old and 21 years old. And then I had 3. On the other side, there's 32, 33, and 35. So it's just, yeah, it's a lot. But everybody, all the ones are all gone. So we have a daughter who's a major in the Army. She went to West Point, the United States Military Academy. So they're doing good. I'm just grateful and thankful.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is awesome. Okay, tell us a little bit about your background on how you became Miss Happy.
Well, I was a single mom at the time with 3 children, and I used to drive to the daycare center and drop them off at the daycare center. And once I left the daycare center, I would cry all the way to work. Once I got to my job, I would park, get myself together, and go inside and do everything I needed to do for work, fully functioning, still depressed, but nobody knew a thing. Then when it was time to leave work, I would leave work, cry all the way back to the daycare center. And then I would pick up the kids, get myself together, and I would function. And then I had them in all kinds of activities. They would be doing all kinds of sports. I had myself together doing that. And then I couldn't wait for the weekend to come, but only so I could sleep. I
Wow,
would do
only
what I
to
needed to do
sleep.
for the kids. But then once I got them all settled, then I would go back to bed and just pull the covers over my head and just cry.
Okay.
And wanted the weekend to come. Well, didn't really want the weekend to come because now I got to get up and go to church.
Okay.
I got to go to church. And if somebody says anything to me, the tears were right here about to drop out of my eyes. And I was just like, don't let nobody say anything. But I was a functioning depressant. I could do all the stuff I needed to do. But when I laid my head on the pillow at night, it was restless, and I would cry myself to sleep and do the same thing over and over. And I did that for years. And I could just remember feeling myself sinking deeper and deeper. I used to be able to just pull myself out really easy, but then it got more and more difficult to lift myself up to that functioning depressed person that I was.
Wow.
I just remember laying in bed one time and I could feel myself not being able to pull myself out as easily. I've never been in quicksand, but I think once you feel yourself sinking deep inside where you don't want to get up, you really don't want to do anything. I had to do it because I had the children, so that kind of motivated me. But I really didn't want to get up. And then one day I was laying in bed, crying myself to sleep again. And I just remember saying, you know what? I go to church every Sunday, but God, I still don't even really know if you're real. Not really sure if you're real. I said, but you know what? I need some help. And I know people promise a lot of stuff, but I don't know. I promise if you can get me out of this hole of depression, every single day that comes, it doesn't matter what's going on in my life, what kind of storm it is, I'm going to find one positive thought to hold on to, and I'm going to have a happy day. And when I said that, I laid my head on my pillow, cried myself to sleep. And when I woke up the next day, it wasn't fully gone, but I could feel myself once I started thinking of the one positive thing to hold on to. It was like
Right.
building a muscle. It got easier. Now there were plenty days we didn't have heat, we didn't have hot water. It was just such a stressful, traumatic time. But once I started thinking of that one positive thought every single day, no matter what it was, then it just started sinking. And then that's where Miss Happy came from. Then I started saying happy Monday, happy Tuesday, happy every day. So people, when they meet me and they see me or they hear me say it, I think they just assume that I'm just saying it just to be saying it, but that's not it at all. That is in my gut, like it's deep inside. And I think the more you look for things to, the battle is in the mind. So if you look for some things to pour back and continuously renew your mind, does that mean that I don't go through anything because I say happy day? Absolutely not. Like the storms that we're in the midst of now, oh my gosh, it should make me pull the covers over my head and not even want to get up. But holding on to that one thought every single day, even in the turbulence, even in the storm, really, it may seem like it's not going to work or it's not going to do anything, but you have to step out on faith and believe it. You have to replenish your mind, because you can get a thought and hold on to that one little thing and you can drag around the entire day. It freezes you, and then you're in a unlocked prison, meaning I can actually get out. But if I'm paralyzed in my mind, thinking all these negative things, fear had me paralyzed for a long time.
Wow.
I ended up, my husband and I are John Maxwell certified coaches and teachers. And to be able to, I never wanted to stand on stage before. I had that in my mind where if they called me on stage, I was going to go on stage and then I was going to pass out and have them call the paramedics to come in and get me. And I wasn't going to get up until they got me to the hospital. Because if I got up while I was still at the event, they might call me on stage to speak. And I didn't want to do that. So that's how fear had me so gripped. And I was just like, I can't do this. So the things that have us paralyzed, that take time from our purpose, it takes time away from our dreams, our destiny, our legacies. It's this time that's wasted. And I know I said it sounds like it's such a little thing to do, but you start practicing finding one good thing every single day in the midst of whatever you're going through, and also gratefulness and thankfulness. If you look back over your life and start to write down all the things, the blessings that you have instead of the things that you don't have, if you focus on those things that you have, little by little, it'll just start to lift your heart and lift your spirits. And you got to surround yourself with people that are uplifting, edifying, that can pour into you. Because if you stay around with people and you're all having the same party, that absolutely is not going to work. I always tell my my sister friends, I was like, look, girl, you're going to have to snap your bra strap, snap it tight, snap your thong, and let's get going. Because now you can visit depressed lane, but you cannot stay there. The more you stay, it robs you of, we're all created to do something. I can't tell each and everyone what your dream and what your purpose is, but the time that we spend worrying about things, that some things never ever happen. But the more you change your mind, we have the power to choose. And that's empowering, having the power to choose how you respond to everything. I don't have to respond to everything that comes my way. I have the power to choose. And I'm a flight attendant.
Okay.
On the airplane, and I run into a lot of people every day, and I have the power to choose. I can't say, oh, they made me. No, they didn't. No, they did not. I had the power to choose what my response is going to be. And people are traveling for different reasons. So I was created to be above the clouds anyway. So that's my ministry in the air. I get to pour into people, and I meet so many different people along the way. And people are traveling for different reasons. Some are traveling for happy occasions. Some are going to funerals. Some are going to weddings. Some are going to rehab. Some people are being deported. There are all sorts of things that are happening. And for me to be able to sit next to somebody and just pour into them, it's just amazing. If you could just see through the lens. I have my glasses, but sometimes you just got to put on the right lens. That way you can change change your eyesight, change your vision, the things that you're focusing on. If they are not helping to strengthen you, to build you up, to give you confidence, to give you boldness, a fearlessness, all those things with God at the center of all that, it's wasting time, precious time. We were all created to do something special. You can't do it like me. I can't do it like you. Stay in your lane. Find out what your passion is. What would you be doing even if you were not getting paid for it? Start there. Because once you focusing on that, that'll get you closer to what your purpose is. And once you're walking in those areas, that way, hope in the midst. Yes, hope in the midst of the storm. Yes, hey, hey. If you focus on those things, it just shifts your whole mindset. The battle is in the mind. If you notice, every single time I have something negative going on, it's up here. Even when you're laying your head down to go to sleep at night, there's so much going on. You can't even lay down and rest in peace because all that battle is going on. If you could try to rest your mind, think of it's not, I don't even know what to call it. It's just focusing your mind and saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to think of things that are good, loving, kind, peaceful. And like I said, surround yourself with good people that can pour into you. If you are at a crossroad where you don't have any more energy, not even a leaf or a feather can be placed on your plate because you're about to give up. You have people around you. Trust is a big, huge factor because sometimes you don't know who to trust. People who you may have trusted, they let you down. You know what? They're not the only people. Genie them.
Right.
Genie them, put them in a whole nother lane and keep it moving. We waste so much valuable time on stuff that we cannot change. Try focusing on why was I created? Why am I here? What can I do to help somebody else fulfill their dream? We were created to do something special. Each and every one of us. Don't compare yourself to, I don't have this gifting, I don't have that. Everybody has something. Whatever that something is in your hand, start with that. Start with that and keep moving forward. Don't waste time.
That is so good, Happy. Miss Happy, I'm going to cut off a little bit because I want to make sure I just paraphrase what you're saying. So first, what you're encouraging them to do is to change negative thoughts with positive thoughts.
Totally.
And then what you did, you start off with one thought at a time.
One thought.
Focus on one happy thought. So that was the first thing she did.
And hold on to it all day.
I'll focus on it all day long. And the second thing she did, she made sure the people that she was around consistently also have thoughts that was positive, because she indicated that people that may have negative thoughts that's feeding to you consistently will keep you down in that place. That is great 2 points. But I want to ask a little more questions concerning that. You said you did this for years. How many years were you in that depressed state?
Oh my gosh. I would have to say an easy 10 years.
10 years. During that time, did you go for therapy? Did you get any medication?
No.
You just stayed in that state. Got it.
Shame. You're embarrassed to tell somebody that you're depressed.
Got it. So you was embarrassed. Even the church community you was in, did you tell anybody in the church? Because you was going to church and all that kind of good stuff.
No.
So why didn't you tell anyone in the church?
I think trust.
Trust.
Didn't trust them, didn't really believe that they were going to really sincerely help me. I think that's part of the fear that also helps you stay in an unlocked prison, because you can really get out of the prison anytime you choose. But I chose the fear, the embarrassment, the shame that is surrounded around depression.
Stigma towards it. Got it. Okay, so basically you was in this stage for a long time. However, you did a prayer. Basically, you did a prayer and you said, God, if you help me get out of this, I would choose to be happy
every day.
And then you was able to wait. You say it was released off for you, and you was able to focus on one thing that was solid or help bring forth a positive, happy. What was one of the thoughts that you focus on?
My kids were healthy one day. There were days when, like I said, we didn't have heat or hot water. I would be digging through pockets to see if I could find where I broke a $20 bill to go and get the gas can to get $5 worth of diesel to put in my oil tank. So if I had oil that day or had hot water, I hold on to that one thought. That doesn't mean that everything around me was changed, but that one thing helped to uplift me and made me grateful and thankful, which also are things, if you live on those two streets, it may seem difficult at the beginning, but once you start looking around at your life and other people, you're like, you know what? I need to get myself together.
So basically what you did was you found one thing. For an example, you may say, if you look in your pocket and you found $5, you was in gratitude and thankfulness all day long. And then
all day long.
You expected something else to be that you could find some. So you was actually looking for things to be thankful for instead of focusing on what was not right in your life. Or focusing on it instead of complaining about what was happening. Even though those things was happening, even though you was living through your storm, you was trying to you purposely look for things that were good, that was just, that was wonderful in order for you to focus on. And then over time, you started crushing those thoughts, those negative thoughts.
Right.
So you started feeding your positive mindset and started decreasing or crushing your negative mindset.
Starving the other side.
Got it. And one thing you did too, you said about having people in your life. How were you able to change the people that you had in your life, transfer those people? What did you do to help with that process?
Once you look at the people, once you do an inventory or an assessment and see that, you know what, they're really not pouring anything positive into me. I'm more depressed when I leave them. And people have a fragrance. When you're around people, you can smell, not a no smell, but your heart, your spirit. And you know when you leave a person, whether you're drained or whether you're like, woof, that's horse manure. That's a lot going on. That is not going to work. And you can feel it. Your spirit will know. It identifies. We don't always listen to our spirit, but you know, and if you feel uplifted and encouraged by being in somebody's presence, those things then stay that way. And you may not have a whole big army. It doesn't have to be a whole army of people. All you need is a few quality people in your life that you can count on, that you can be yourself. You can tell the truth. You can tell the truth and be honest about what you feel. I think that's what it is. A lot of people don't feel like they can get any help, but there is help. There is help.
So that's so good. So basically what you're saying, I'm just paraphrasing. What you're saying is what you did was you first assessed all the people that were in your life.
Yes.
And you thought about how these people made you feel after you left them.
Yes.
The people that make you feel happier or lifted up, you knew, okay, I need to not spend as much time or not spend time with these people. Okay. What if you're the person that's bringing everyone down? How will you address that? If a person say, you know what, I'm the person that everybody runs from, for an example. And so did you ever experience anything like that? Do you think after you changed your thought process, your sense or people around you felt different? Or do you think when they was around you, when you were in your depressed stage, did they feel that yuck or feel defeated after leaving you?
They didn't feel it. That's the thing about it. We're really good at masking and keeping things inside. It's like lights, camera, action. So you can kind of keep it. When you're a functioning depressant and you've been doing that for so many years, you know how to go to work. You know how to turn it on and do the things that you need to do in order to function. That's why I said I was a
functioning
depressant, because you have some people on the other side, they can't really function. You can tell.
So I guess what I'm saying is when people were around you, did they feel uplifted even when you was in your depressed stage, or did they feel down? Okay, so you was able to lift other people up. You was able to speak positive other people, but you weren't able to speak positive on yourself. Okay, great. Okay, got it. So basically what you're saying is a person that may be negative 24/7, they may be negative on themselves as well as negative on the outside of people. Okay. What I'm trying to do, because people that are here, I want to make sure it's very clear that they can understand. Which is great. So basically, Miss Happy was always happy. She was able to cover it up. She was able to put like a mask on And then the more you fed yourself positivity, your mass ended up matching with who you really was on the inside.
Right. Right.
Got it. That is so good. That is
That's
so
exactly what
good.
happens. Now, I don't want anybody to think that that spirit of depression doesn't go like this. Hey, remember me? Because it does. But so it's a constant. It's not like you do it a couple of days. No, that is a lifestyle that you have to walk in daily to keep that, to keep the prison doors open. So you're not even in prison anymore, but you have to consistently work at that. It's not like it just goes away and it doesn't want to. It's a familiar spirit. So you don't want to have to tangle with that again, but you have to still find that one thought to hold on to.
So that is good, because basically you become addicted to feeling depressed. So it's just like another way you fight addiction.
Right.
You have to make sure you continue to feed yourself or put yourself in position so you won't anything that would trigger those thoughts or cause you to want to walk back in that jailhouse.
Exactly.
Be able to not feed it, and you have to starve it. So that is so good. That is so good. Okay, if someone was listening to you right now and maybe in this same situation, they're trying to come out of that hole, or even though they may be that functioning depression person and walking around all jolly, and they need something to hear, how will you encourage them on right now?
I would encourage them by just thinking about life is just so short, and the precious time that you waste on, like I did, I would encourage you to start small. Find one single thought, one positive thought, and hold on to that. Even like while we're on live watching now, find a thought. If you're healthy, if you have a job, or even if you lost something, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Don't look at it as a loss. How can I fix it? How can I move forward? But start by finding one thought. Even if you have your health, even if you don't have all your health, the part that you do have, start with that. I have good friends. I have good family. I have food to eat. I have heat. I have hot water. Start with the basics. I have a good personality, whatever it is inside. Maybe you have a servant's heart. Maybe you do something for somebody. You have to be able to find one thing starting right now and hold on to that and do it daily, like a vitamin, like medicine. If it's music, whatever you have to get to encourage yourself. Maybe it's a poem, maybe it's a quote, whatever it is. If you can't think of anything yourself, type Google quotes, something to uplift me. You have to hold on to those happy, positive thoughts. It might seem like it's a mind game. No, it's not. Our mind is powerful. And if the prison is unlocked, why would I sit in prison? The people in prison, if the prison door was open, unlocked, do you think they'd stay in there? Absolutely not. Set yourself free. Forgive yourself for whatever you're holding on to that you did or didn't do, and start right where you are. And just if you need a new circle, square, whatever you need, make it new, and let's start moving forward. And that's where Miss Happie's song came from. From being depressed, all these years later, I ended up, my son, I've been begging for a song for years. He does music. And finally, he was like, last Mother's Day, Mom, we're going to create your happy song. I was like, for real? So he called me over, and I went to the studio, and we went in. And from being depressed, all these years later, God turned it into Miss Happie's song. And I'm so excited.
Well, we got to hear this happy song. So please let us know.
It's like nobody's looking.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
We got to get to hear this happy song, but right now we're going to bring in the next interviewer. But we really enjoy your interview, but stay backstage. If y'all have any questions for her, please put them down for her when she comes back, when we bring all three of our wonderful guests in order to answer questions. So thank you so much, Ms. Happie, for this amazing interview. I must say it was just a pleasure just hearing you talk, to be honest with you, because you have a good heart and you can feel it. And so thank you so much. And what we're about to do now, Ms. Happie, is bring in our next guest. Our next guest is focusing on All the single ladies out there, all the single ladies out there. We have Miss Kimberly Knight. Miss Kimberly Knight is going to talk to you about how to transition from being single in order to become getting married. Okay, let's bring in Mrs. Kimberly. Hello, Mrs.
Hey,
Kimberly. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am well. You notice I said Mrs. Kimberly to
That's
make sure
right.
everybody
Don't
knows
get it
she's
twisted.
married now. So how long have you been married, Kimberly?
3.5 years. Three and a half
Three and a
years.
half years.
I
Okay,
was single for almost 15.
15.
And when I met my husband, we were married within 8 months. So we met, dated, engaged, and married in 8 months.
Okay. Okay, let's step back a little bit. You said you was single for 15 years. Were you married before that 15 years?
Yes, I was. I was single again. First time around, I married my high school sweetheart about a week after college graduation.
And how long were you married and how long were you in that stage?
13 years.
So you was
13. We
married for
dated for
13 years.
7,
You dated for 7, and
and
then
then we were
you was
married
married
13.
for 13 years. Got it. And then after that, was that marriage was that like a good marriage or a bad marriage? What would you consider that to be
I would say it was
compared
a
to where you
lifetime
are
movie of the
today?
week. It was a
Huh?
lifetime movie of the week.
Oh, a lifetime. Okay, that's enough said. That's a great
Yeah,
description.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
It was
And,
bad. It was bad.
and so after that marriage, you were single for 10 wonderful, or you said 11 or 10 years?
Almost 15.
Oh, I'm sorry, 15. I don't know where I get 10 from. 15 years.
Yes,
Okay.
a decade and a half.
So when did you start wanting a husband after you divorced the first husband?
Well,
Was
to
it
be
five
honest with you,
years? Huh?
no. I honestly, my children were young, right? When
Okay.
we separated, my youngest was 2. I had 2 children at that time. Still have two
Okay.
children.
Okay.
But my youngest was 2. I really
Hmm.
focused on raising them.
Hmm.
My parents both took ill with
Okay.
long-term illnesses. So, and I'm
Hmm.
still caretaking my mom. So
Okay.
I had a lot going on with that. I was
Hmm.
ministering at the church. I wrote a book. I went back to school. So I was kind of, focused. I went back and got a master's, went back and got coaching certifications and all that. So I was kind of like focused on what I was doing. It didn't enter into my mind the same way because I had so much going on. So I said, okay, I'm going to concentrate here. I want to raise my children. And that took a lot of energy as a single parent. So
Hmm.
I didn't miss it for a long time. And it wasn't
Hmm.
until about 3 years before I got married, maybe two and a half.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then I started praying it away because I thought it was lust.
Oh, so you want to get married and you thought it was lust.
I thought it was lust. And I'm
Really?
praying and I'm fasting and I'm crying. And now I'm panicking because it's not going. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how can
So
I
let me
miss
ask you
this?
something. So when you thought it was lust, was it because you was attracted to other men? Or particular one man? Why you thought it was lust?
Looking back now, I think I just didn't, I wasn't in tune to me
Okay.
and to what it really was. And I'll tell you the truth. I really was everything in me wanted to please God. And I
Okay.
felt like this desire was just me running after something fleshly, right? And I had just gotten to the end of myself, and I called my spiritual mom, and I said, "Listen, this is what's going on, and I need your help, and I don't know what to do."
Okay, let me
God,
so people understand your terminology because everybody is not,
okay,
the Christian terminology. You say you in your flesh. Explain to me what you mean by flesh.
okay. So I thought it was something that I desired, but God didn't desire for me. I thought it was something that I just wanted because I wanted a man, right? I hadn't been
Okay.
with anyone. I had made a
Did you want to have
deliberate choice.
sex? What
I
did you
did
want? You
not.
said you wanted to have a man. Talk to me.
Oh yeah, girl. No, I really did walk that walk. I was completely abstinent for that entire
Right,
time.
right. I'm trying to figure out. I guess I'm trying to really understand what you mean by being in the flesh. No, so I'm not judging
Okay.
that now. I'm just all I'm trying to. So everybody that are listening,
No,
okay,
it's all good.
okay. So did you want it to have sex? Did you want it to did you see like a man in church that you was like attracted to? What was it that say, okay, I thought it was lust? What prompted you to think it was lust?
It was that desire to have a man in my life again, right? It was
Okay.
that desire to be on someone's arm and have that time and have that attention and that focus on me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, this doesn't even sound like me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Got it. And so you spoke with your spiritual mom, and tell us about that part. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Well, I had a come apart, just a pure come apart. I was whining and crying and snotting. It was awful. And
Mm-hmm.
as she always does, right? I had this 10-minute come apart, and then she gives me these two lines and changes my whole life.
And what was the
And she
two
said to
lines?
me, oh, she said to
Okay.
me, you are not in lust. You need a husband, honey. I'm
Yeah.
gonna pray. You have a great day though. And off she went. Off she
Mm-hmm.
went. And I really, that took me probably a few weeks to kind of
Mm-hmm.
absorb and process. And I
Mm-hmm.
and I finally came to terms with it. But I'm going to tell you, it took me about a year to say, I need to get a grip. This is something I really, really want. So I couldn't even be honest with me. And I find that for a lot of women who've been single for a
Wow.
while,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know that you want to be married again, or you don't know that you want to be in a relationship, or it's safer to hide and act as if you don't because you're concerned that it may or may not happen.
Got it. So the fear of it not happening, or the fear of the
Yes, yes.
unknown. Got it. So what helped you transition of, okay, from thinking you was in lust? We know how you got from thinking you lust. You heard from your spiritual mom, and your spiritual mom informed you that you just want a husband, honey. It's okay. You are safe. Okay. And then you had, or you said, a year or so to help you transition to the place to say, you know what? I do want a husband.
Mhm.
Um, and now you at that place where you happen to convey to people now during this interview is, what
Yes.
did you do to prep to be, in order for you, during this 15-year process? So when your husband came, you was straight up ready. What did you
Yes.
what did you do to help yourself become ready?
Well, first thing I have to tell you, I tried online dating for a while. I was like, oh
Okay.
Lord, have mercy. It was an experience.
Did
It
you do
was
a
an
Christian
experience.
online dating? Because I know you're talking about Christian women.
I
What did-
tried in the beginning. I tried
Mhm.
several Christian dating sites,
Mhm.
and one of them said they didn't have a match for me. Like
Okay.
literally, of all the thousands of people they had, they didn't have a match for me. I was like, oh shoot, right? So I went on a secular site,
Okay.
and I started dating. I started dating a little bit, but it just wasn't. I don't know. I met some very interesting characters.
Give me an example of interesting character. Just give me one example.
Woo, okay, Bishop Bizarro. I gave them
You
all
said Bishop.
names. I gave them all names.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Bishop Bizarro. He was a bishop. I guess he
Mhm.
still is.
Okay.
We had great conversation. I mean, he was very accomplished. He led several churches. We had a lot in common. He was an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, and we just had wonderful conversation. Couldn't wait to meet him. I met him, but it was just bizarre. He
Okay.
literally got up and laid across the table at the restaurant,
Shut the front door. What?
to shut it all the way closed. Right, he laid across the table like this. So tell me more about you. It was just bizarre. And the waitress walks up and she's giving me the eye like, are you okay? Blink twice. you know so I'm kind of like backing out of this date, and he calls me and he says,
Mhm.
you weren't as warm in person as you were on the phone. And I was like, well, you aren't, as sane in person as you were on the phone. I don't know if you're on medication or need medication or if it needs to be adjusted, but I think, I don't think we're gonna,
Right. This is not gonna work.
yeah, it's not
No.
gonna work because, yeah,
Yeah.
you're special in a special kind of way. So yeah, that man though continued to pursue me for I had to finally block him.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, Bishop, gather yourself, get your life. So yeah, that was one. I had some others, who
Mhm.
I had one guy who had changed his name and his age, and
Mhm.
I asked him, your age, and you told me, and the age that's on your profile are two different things. Which one? And was it within 2 years span? But which one is right? So he says, well, that's on a need to know basis. Oh,
Mm.
what you need to know is you're blocked. I'm on that block ministry. Yes. So yeah, that was just two of them.
Okay. Mercy. So today, what will you encourage? What did you do during your transition?
Well, I got help because I realized what I needed. If I could have done it by myself, it would have been done,
Got it.
right?
Got it.
So I got a coach. I got
That's
a
good.
coach who kind of walked me through how to get ready, how to date, how to wait, how to mate, how to act, how to respond, how to ask questions, right? And it made all the difference. So, and I did meet my husband online.
Okay. Wow. So you still
I
end
did.
up finding it. Did you find him
I
on a
did.
Christian or did you find him on a secular?
Secular site.
Got it. Got it.
Found a Christian man on a secular site. So, but when I met him, I was better prepared because I had that help. And I think a lot of times we think that, it's just going to come naturally. And it didn't for me. There were things that I was really doing that I didn't even realize I was sabotaging myself.
Give me an example of that. One example.
I think one of the things we as sisters do is we date for entertainment, or we're expecting to have this abundance of fun. Now, there should be fun. We should be enjoying our, relationships and what have you. But you also want to get some information, right? You want to listen. You want to be aware, and you want to process that information and not just collect red flags, right? So it's asking questions and waiting on answers. And, we as ladies like to talk. But really became about listening and hearing and then watching, and not just watching, but watching for pattern over time. Are you who you said you were going to be? How is that showing up? Because I say all the time, you're marrying character. Right. So he could be fine as wine, 6'6" and make, $3 million a year. But if his character is not correct, then what you're doing to yourself is actually putting yourself in a worse predicament married than you were single. So, making sure that you're paying attention to that character. And when I met my husband, he really started walking that talk, and I was like, whoa. He was a totally different. It was a totally different experience for me from the very beginning. Yeah.
Got it. So thank you for that information. But how did you sabotage? I'm trying to go back. How did you sabotage? You said you sabotage before you met your husband, or you did things. Well, I'm trying to make sure, how can I say this so I can make sure you understand it so you'll be able to answer it. What did you do to sabotage yourself when you did meet that right person? Or what do women do to sabotage themselves because they don't know?
Okay. One of the things I know for myself, and I see it a lot with my clients, is that there's a difference between being strong and coming on strong. Right. Yeah. So you hear it said a lot that, oh, men are intimidated by strong women. They're really not. It's coming on strong. How do you present that? Being strong is something my husband appreciates. He knows I got his back, right? I couldn't do that if I wasn't strong.
Right.
But coming on strong kills the femininity that attracts a really masculine man that we say we want. So that means that in order for him to be fully who he is, now I can express fully who I am, and allowing him that space and place to exercise that. And I am telling you, it was a whole new world for me. That was the hardest lesson, because at that time in my life, I led everything in my life. I had
got it, because you were single for 15 years,
15
so that makes
years.
sense. Yes.
I raised my children by myself. I mean, God sent wonderful people to hold my arms up, but they were my children, right? So that was
right.
my
You was responsible at the end of the day, right?
Right. I had my two parents. I was running two households. I had a business I was running. I was a manager at work. I had these 4 ministries I was leading at church. So there was nothing in my life, even the organizations I belonged to, I was in some way on their leadership boards or whatever. So everything in my life, I led. Everything. So when this man comes into my life, now I'm like, oh, shoot. Now here is the person I want to share with. How do I begin to share? And how do I become appropriately vulnerable? Because that's another place and space where I see a lot of us have a problem, right? How do you become emotionally vulnerable in appropriate ways? And when do you do that? And how do you do that? Right? So that was a learning process.
Okay.
And I think those are the 2 major ways. There's some others, but those are the 2 major ways and major things I see that causes us to self-sabotage.
Okay. And with that, we're very excited because we're going to have Miss Kimberly come back on March the 18th at 7 p.m. Y'all mark your calendars. Yes. March the 18th at 7 p.m. and she's going to do a master class just only for women who thrive. A master class. So if you have friends that need to hear and learn from this training and learn different techniques and learn how to date or
Yeah.
what to do to prepare yourself
Yes.
for a wonderful male that you desire to get married, she's going to do a master class. She's also a coach. And so,
Yes.
with that being said, after the master class, you may want to continue to work with her, and we hoping as well as she come and have a little have a channel even on Women Who Thrive. She come at least bi-weekly and talk, so you all can really get to know Kimberly
Yes. I love
and
that.
ask your questions to her during this phase as you transitioning from, you know, want to get
Mhm.
married until you do get married.
Yeah.
Okay. What if a person met a man and they like this man?
Hmm.
However, they're not sure if this man want to date them in a way for marriage. They're just really dating them because they want to, because they want companionship. How will you help that person transition from that stage? Or do you encourage them to stay and wait for the man to get ready for marriage? Or what will you recommend for that person?
Well, I am of the mind that if a man really wants you, you'll know.
Mm,
Hmm. And I give, and I have clients both secular and Christian, but I always say Adam left God to pursue Eve. The
mm,
wisest choice, maybe not, but there was
mhm,
no doubt that he wanted this woman in his life. When you
mhm. That's
have
good.
doubt and you have to ask, does he love me? Does he want me? He probably does not.
Mhm.
And there are different ways that that presents. And I always say, you people say, pay attention to what he does. No, pay attention to what he does consistently.
Right.
What does
Mhm.
he do consistently? When we met, he said, when he read my profile, he was like, this is too good to be true. I've got to see
Mhm.
this for myself. So
Mhm.
as we began to date, he said, yeah, I want to make you my wife and I'm going to pursue you. What did he say? Hard, fast, and continuously.
Mm.
And he was consistent. He was consistent with dating, with keeping in contact. I mean, if it takes you 2 and 3 days to get a text back, he doesn't want you. I love you
Right.
though. And I can
Mhm.
support you as you move on to healthier relationships. But you
Mhm.
shouldn't have to chase anyone. You shouldn't
That's
have to
right.
run behind someone. You shouldn't have to beg someone to love you. The way you go
Mhm.
into that relationship is the way it's going to continue all throughout. So you want to be sure that you're sowing into someone, that you are investing your time, energy, and effort and your love and being
Mhm.
vulnerable with someone who is willing to do that with you as well.
That's so
Yeah.
good. So paraphrasing what Kimberly's saying is, if you text a person and they don't reply back to you within a day or two, or even within hours, that's a check.
Check, check,
That's a check.
check, check.
And so basically, it's a possibility that you're giving more, and that person may be
Right,
stepping away, and you're not even aware of it. And it
right,
could be something that happened. It could be something that's happening in his life. It could be many reasons, but the important thing is communicating and actually ask that person. But the person continue to do the same thing over again. It could be an emergency that they lost their
right.
phone or something like that. So we don't want you to run. Oh my goodness, Miss Kimberly said that if they don't reply within a day, that means bye. And his phone could have dropped in the commode while he was using the bathroom. So you never know what was going on. So just make sure the reason, but if it's consistent, like she said, the patterns, that means there's a strong possibility that that person is not, don't desire. Okay, what's your master class, Kimberly? What
Yeah.
do they expect from your master class on March the 18th?
Well, I'm going to give some tips on some power moves to begin to move you from embracing your singleness to prepping for marriage, right? I think there are some basic level things that can springboard you into getting married. My whole goal as a coach is to help you to cut your learning curve, right? It
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't take you 4, 5, 6, 7 years. It
Right.
shouldn't. It doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
to, right?
Right.
And if you're frustrated, that's the sign that something needs to change. And
Mm-hmm.
if it's been for a while, that means whatever it is, you haven't been able to do it by yourself.
Right.
So I want to give at least the basic keys, and this is for free, right? I want to
Mm-hmm.
give those basic keys so that you can begin to prep and move towards prepping for marriage and being ready when the opportunities present themselves.
Can you give me an example of one powerful move so you can help their expectations? So when they, when they're ready for March the
Yes.
18th at 7 p.m.
Yes, yes. So getting yourself looking at any misaligned roles, MISS. So it's a take on on being misaligned, misaligned roles that keep you from being a missus, such as mommy mode, right? A man comes into your life and you play his mother. Well, guess what? Healthy men don't want to sleep with their mama.
Right.
Or you play Millie the missionary. He comes in your life, he's all messed up and he doesn't have a goal, but he has potential. Girl, you can't marry potential. He's not guaranteed to reach it. Right. So what roles are you playing? And there's a few of those, right? What roles are you playing that are keeping you from meeting a quality man? Because guess what? We say we can't meet a man. That's not true. You meet
Right.
single
It's a
men
lot of men
every
out
day.
there. Right.
Every single day, unless you're staying in your home all day. And that's another thing that we do to sabotage ourselves.
Right.
Right. So we want to look at that. How do I now get out of these misaligned roles so that I'm in the place and space that I need to be to prepare for marriage?
That is good. So we're very excited. So y'all heard one of her powerful moves, and you're going to learn more of her powerful moves.
Can't
I
wait.
repeat again on March the 18th. March the 18th at 7 p.m. right here in Raw Stories. Right here in Raw Stories, this same avenue, the same approach. She will be here live by herself and here talking about a wonderful masterclass. How long will the masterclass last, Ms. Kim?
It's 1 hour that night.
Okay, 1 hour. So from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., you will hear more about this. And we're excited about this because we want to make sure we provide the tools for you in order to thrive. And some of you want to get married. And why not use Kimberly as your coach to help you with that process? But the great thing about this is Miss Kimberly is allowing you to test drive her services.
Yes.
So that's what I call test drive her services with a master class. And the master class again is going to happen on March the 18th. March the 18th at 7 p.m. March the 18th at 7 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. If someone right now, Kimberly, is in a situation they have been wanting to be married for the past 5 to 10 years or even more, or even just 3 years, or even 2 years, and they're really ready, and they know they're not in heat or want just sex or in lust, but they honestly desire companionship. They honestly want someone to live life with and share life with and create memories and do live with purpose together. What will you encourage them, or how will you encourage them on tonight?
Well, let me say, it's not only possible, it's probable.
Yeah.
Right. There are men, and I have to tell you, with what I do now, I am meeting gentlemen from all over who are looking for quality women to marry. And believe it or not, they're saying there's no women out there. There's no women of quality. I'm like, oh my gosh, where are you looking? So know that what you're looking for is also looking for you. But you got to know what you're looking for. Part of it is you need to define, what does a quality man look like to you? Because he may be right in front of your face and you're missing it. Or you may be selecting the wrong candidate because they look good. They're tall,
they may
and
be
they're this, and
fine,
they're that, and fine. And they can be as vogue as they want and as vague as they can be, right? So
and
they can be
charm,
cute.
yes, that's good.
With no depth,
Right, no depth, right.
And you have to keep in mind, this is a man you're going to share your bed with, your body with, create children with, and pursue purpose with. So you want to make sure that he is worthy of that kind of an investment, right? So take your time, come on in, get that coaching, because guess what? My goal is to accelerate. Your marriage really becomes my mission. It is to accelerate your time and cut that learning curve so you can get to the good stuff.
Whoop, you hear that? The good stuff she said, because marriage is a good stuff. Because I'm thankful for my husband. He is good. So that's good.
Yes, he did.
Yes. So even with you, you've been married for 3 years now, Kimberly.
Yes.
During these 3 years, do you think what you did during your prepping time before you got married, helped with that process?
It did. It did. And I have to tell you, even afterwards, I continued to grow, and I continue to grow, right? Because the marriage, and this is one thing, I hadn't really, I guess, it hadn't sunk in how much everything was going to shift.
Mm-hmm.
Everything had to respond to that shift because I became a different woman now that I had a husband, because my
Mm-hmm.
focus had to change. My
Mm-hmm.
desires changed. The way I conducted business changed. Like right now, he got in from work. I said hello. We had about 7 minutes, and I'm like, gotta get into, gotta go in for the interview, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it meant making adjustments. And it also meant now having these discussions with him. What does this look like now? Because we had great discussions single, but now what? And what does the next 5 look like, and the next 10, and the next 15? So it's all good.
That is awesome. Thank you so much, Kimberly, for wanting to share your transition, especially being single for 15 years after being married for so long. And then, you had young kids, and then you married now for 3 years, and now you want to give of yourself and help. And most of all, thank you so much for offering this free master class to the ladies here at Women Who Thrive. If you're not a part of Women Who Thrive, we encourage you to come join us on Facebook. It's a free it's also a free group. Come and join us, because we have different opportunities for you to learn, not just with marriage, but other opportunities in order for you to thrive. But today we are so thankful for Kimberly giving of herself for the master class in order to help you transition. And hopefully you will take on and use her as your coach if you're single, and she can help you with the process. Now
Yes.
let's bring Miss Happy back up here. You ready, Miss Happy?
Come on,
Yes.
Happy.
Happy back up here. Yes. So we have 9 minutes to answer questions. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask these wonderful ladies, out there, we'll be happy to hear from you. I think we have someone that said, let's see, hey.
Ah.
Hi, hey, happy Tuesday.
Hi.
And I think this was for you, Miss Kimberly. She said, can you refer that coach you had? Who they want to know who the coach you had that helped you transition from marriage. Do you mind giving out that person's name?
Well, I don't have permission to give out her name, so I will check with her, but you can inbox me.
Okay.
And if she can't help you, I definitely can. That's what I do.
Yes. All right. Do we have any more questions out there, or any suggestions out there? So for both of you, during this interview time, and also being a part of Women Who Thrive, and also been Women Who Thrive, and your different expertise, do you feel with the women that are desire to be married? This is for you, Kimberly. Then I'm asking a question for you, wonderful Miss Happy. Do you believe the women that desire to be married is guaranteed to find that man? What can you?
Yeah, guaranteed, no. But
Got
what you
this good.
can do is increase your odds, right? So there's nothing that's guaranteed,
Right.
right? But you can increase your odds. You can begin to prep. You can make yourself available. You can change things that need to change. You can look at what is holding you back and remove those barriers. And what I have found is once people do that, it doesn't take long, because usually it is something more internal than external.
That's
And
good.
once addressed, then you
Mm-hmm.
begin to attract, you attract who you are, not what you want. So the more
Very.
you work on you, the healthier you get, the more that you focus on being that woman that you really were called to be, the more
Mm-hmm.
likely you are to attract that kind of man into your life.
That is so good. And now, question with that, even with you, Miss Happy, because I love the idea of you doing more like cognitive behavior thought, process therapy. Because I'm a therapist, so I'm just giving the therapy name for that. Replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts. If we have a person that desire to be married, but they're dealing with depression, and they like a functioning, function depressed, but they know at the end of the day, because they're in this low state, what would you recommend to help that person or that woman?
I would say first before you can love anybody else, it's going to have to be self-love. So you're going to
Yes.
have to do things that work on your confidence, your self-esteem, knowing your worth, Because once you know those and nobody can steer you from those, it has to sink deep down into your gut, into your spirit. Nobody should be able to walk up and say one word and change your whole after everything that you prepared and change for and study for. There are some things that we know that we know that we know. And if you can do that with your self-esteem, your confidence, and your worth, that's currency. That's power. It's not money, but it's even more than money. If you have those things, you can go a long way. So you need some self-care, and you got to protect your mind, protect the things that are in it. When you know your character, and the character was really good, it's something really good. So when you have the right character and all those different things that surround it, that's when you move further. Because if you can't love yourself, you're not going to be able to give to anybody else. There's always going to be some walls up, and you won't be able to trust, and it's not going to work because you're going to always be looking at you as what am I lacking? What don't I have? And it's going to always be negative towards your own self. So you have to build that up first before you can even pour into anybody or give into anybody.
So basically what you're saying is before you seek someone else, you need to become whole.
Yes,
and
you have to.
Yes, and we just post, I think we post in Facebook in a group in the Women Who Thrive. We ask a question: do you love yourself?
That's good.
You know, and some people responded absolutely. Some people say yes. Some people say I'm trying to get there. Some people say sometimes. And so when a person, I want to ask both of you this: if a person said they love themselves sometimes, how will you help that person get to the place that they love themselves all the time based on your coaching approach? You can go, Miss Kimberly. Go for it.
It's funny because I just had this conversation with someone else, right? One of the things that we do is look at their value system. What are your values, your core values? What makes you unique? What's your voice to the world? All of those things. And as my sister, Miss Happy, just shared, until you know those things, honestly, pursuing marriage is almost a waste of time because you're going to attract somebody to somebody you are not. So making sure you understand what makes you tick and what ticks you off, who you are, who you desire to be, and how you're going to close that gap. Because in that gap, that's where relationships can be lost. Because that gap, if you become this different woman, now that type of woman may not attract this kind of man, right? So all of that needs to be settled. You need to know who you are. And it's not that we don't evolve, because we should, right? We're continuing to grow, but you have to be really solid in who you are and being deliberate about knowing your value system, knowing how to communicate that, knowing how to protect your heart and be appropriately vulnerable. So I like to get all those things in place, and then we can begin to see this woman emerge, this woman who loves herself all the time, even with her flaws.
Right.
That is so good. Right. And the great thing, that's good you said that, because even with the Women Who Thrive manual, when you connecting with the different relationships, we do in the relationships, no more than 12 people, you focus on that as a group, those different activities, you know, your identity, your value system, who you see yourself with. How can you develop into even a strong person? Because even as you work together with the 12 ladies, you also building your foundation core up, which allow you to have substance relationships, even with not just with your spouse, also being able to have a true relationship with other women. Because most of the time when you can't connect with men, or even and you may feel you do better with women, honestly, what you may have, there's going to be barriers even within yourself if you honestly don't have a strong foundation. That is so good. And answering that too, Miss Happy, because we only got one more minute with that. What will you do? What will you recommend with your approach?
I would recommend, you don't want to, if you don't take care of you first, the relationship is good. The scale is going to be tipped over. You're going to always be walking on eggshells. This person loves me more. And you're going to end up buying love, whether you buy it with your time, whether you buy it with money, and it's going to always be one-sided. You are worth it. Take the time to invest in you. We have so much to give. Just pour into yourself. The way we are caretakers for everybody else, pour back into yourself, because we are so important. We matter.
Yes.
Purpose. Look for purpose. And life is short.
Yes, that's right. We matter. Wow. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
You.
you. We're so excited to have you all. Y'all just with your presence. Thank you so much.
Thank
Kimberly, we are
you.
very excited about your master class that's going to take place on March the 18th.
March 18th.
March the 18th at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. You will get to learn more about anything you want to do concerning preparing for marriage. And if you would like to use her services, please, that will be a great time to learn and do a test drive with her during that time. We also thank you for Miss Happy. If you're looking for a coach to help you, transition with negative thoughts to positive thoughts and learning the tools that she implemented in her life in order for her to become a severe depressed, active person to now a truly honest, happy person. Her character, her mask, she no longer have the mask. Now who she is on the outside now matches who she is on the inside. So if you seeking that type of help, please know we're excited to give you Mrs. Happy. Yes. And with that all being said, we're going to put them now in backstage, and we want to thank you all for listening to Raw Stories. We will be back with you on next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Yes, we're excited about that. And if you have any questions or concerns, if there's any topics that you would like to hear from us or anyone that you would like for us to interview, please let us know. Send us an email so we can also incorporate that here on Raw Stories. I'm Dr. Nancia Leath, and I thank you for watching Raw Stories.